There's been talk since the beginning of the season that the Mopar motors are pretty hot.
I was under the assumption that somebody had dyno these things before the season started, and they hadn't.
I think a lot of that was caused by the fact that they were late to the table. There are never any numbers released for them, so automatically people are going to suspect that.
USAC has been very quiet. They kind of thought things settled down after spring Crandon.
All the whiners, complainers about cheating trucks, check them again, okay?
I know there was an issue with a couple of illegal trucks at Bark River.
Mitchell, let's talk on the track. Let's not talk off the track, okay? Go Mopar Ram.
To go on the track knowing that I'm not going to win, it's getting old.
Unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. We're done. We're done doing this. We're just lost the championship.
I'm at the point now, if they don't change it, I'm going to go to every pro light driver and say, let those 4 guys drive on their own, and we'll do our own race.
The 2 Traxxas trucks is who they're mainly targeting.
Everyone's worried about how fast the motor is, and they don't even look at the truck. They don't even look at, how I'm driving.
The complainers seems to win a lot the more you whine and cry.
As of right now, it's hush because I'm hoping they make the right decision and change some rules. But if they don't, everyone in this world is going to know what happened this year.
By introducing the spec engine for this class, the #1 goal in it was to make it affordable for an experienced guy to become a professional racer. The new platform introduced this year is a Mopar engine.
When the Traxxas Torque Series presented by AMSOIL was at Crandon last spring, controversy erupted over whether the Mopar engines had too much power. Autumn brought a return to Crandon and a return of the Mopar engine controversy.
I think it's something that USAC is smart to look at and adjust. They had a chassis dyno out here in the spring that did nothing but cause more controversy.
When we did the chassis dyno test in June at Crandon, the results that we found were within the specs of the variants that we want to see in the engines from a horsepower standpoint. What we couldn't measure from doing that is what driveline efficiency exists in each of these trucks.
Chassis dyno, everyone runs a different tire, everyone runs a different wheel, everyone runs a different torque converter, so yeah, it's not going to be exactly right.
We ran those tests, we saw those numbers, we realized there's some other factors that created those numbers that we needed additional information before we could just make a decision on what was going to be done with the engines.
We're counting on the series to make it right, and so far they haven't done anything.
I mean, the biggest thing that USAC needs to do is step up to the plate and make the changes that need to be made.
This year is going to be a Ram year. Hopefully they'll get the field leveled out a little bit better and we can go into next year and really make a good run for it.
Those guys have done their homework. They came out, they put in their effort. They've got the best of the best under their pit right now, and I don't think that they're cheating.
They got the best budget and the biggest sponsors behind them, and they're out there taking the money from the little guys that are running, and they're legal.
If they want to keep all eyes on us, we'll just, like I said, we'll keep pulling away from them and keep winning races. That's what we're here to do, and it seems like they're here more to watch us than out here to win races.
While other guys might be out, working their own business or doing other things, these guys are working on these trucks, and so I guess at the end of the day, you should expect them to have a little bit of an advantage.
It is all about us. Everyone's looking at us. I mean, we're out there, beating the people pretty badly out there in some of these races.
They're a good team. They're the team that's running up front, and they're the team that everybody's pointing to try to beat. Our job is, as this class pertains, is to make it to where For the guy that has to work through the week and then work on his truck on the weekends, he still has a chance to compete against that guy.
You know, unfortunately, when it comes down to it, at the end of the year, all anybody cares about is a championship. You know, it says champion. It doesn't matter if they beat 2 people. It doesn't matter if they cheated. At the end of the day, you got the win.
I agree that it sucks really bad that those guys got called cheaters. But at the end of the day, no one knows any of the guys behind the scenes. They know the driver.
Well, they can't call us cheaters if you're running by the rule book.
There's a rule book?
There's a certain set of rules in the USAC rule book, and if you follow those, you're not a cheater. We're gonna follow the rules, and it's just that's the way it is. And I still believe my team is doing that. I want it to be by the rule book, and everybody should be by the rule book. Bottom line.
With the Pro Light class, this is one where the spec is a little bit different than others because we've actually allowed different engine manufacturers to come in under a formula that we've, given them, and so they're supposed to stay in the parameters that we give them.
One reason for the controversy is the fact that the Mopar engine is assembled by an independent engine builder, while the Ford and Chevy engines are made in a factory.
The Pro Light engines are part numbers for all the manufacturers, so you can order a part number and that engine will come to you in a crate.
The Ford and the Chevy engines are true crate engines. They're made in a factory on an assembly line.
Mopar came along on the series, they wanted a race, and they don't have a crate motor. So they got to build their own motor.
I believe that those engines are being built by a pretty high-end builder to start with.
It's a built race motor. I mean, there's no comparison. It should be way up on power than ours.
They don't have the Mopars scaled down to where the Ford's at yet, but they still got an advantage on horsepower, and they got an even bigger advantage on torque.
They were late to the table. There are never any numbers released for them. So automatically people are going to suspect that.
They're all the same because they have a spec they have to rebuild them to, and that's a maximum spec. And so I believe they are very close.
In order to keep the class affordable, engines can be refreshed instead of being replaced. Refreshing an engine doesn't just save money, it also adds horsepower.
Unfortunately, that's a decision the teams are going to have to make. Do I run a right out of the crate engine, or do I run a used engine and freshen it up? Unless you got an unlimited budget, there's nothing you can do about that.
You get a new engine, usually you'll go practice with it or run it or do something just to get some time out of it. And then you send it in and you get it rebuilt. Once you get it rebuilt, it's gonna come back stronger.
I've had my engine rebuilt, and I believe, from what I'm told, that the engine will have a little bit more power after it gets rebuilt, that they can work with the tolerances and bump the power up a little bit.
This engine was rebuilt by Phil Harper at the beginning of this year, and that's what he told me I gained was about 10 or 15 horse.
We allow some upfitted specialties like dry sump oiling system to kind of help with the rigors of the off-road. When an engine comes back, if it has any performance advantage, there are a couple of reasons that could be that we allow, and one of which is the dry sump oiling system. That system can add a couple of horsepower to the engine as it comes from the crate with the wet sump. The increase in power that things like that will give are still within the variance and the percentage that we allow.
You have to allow for rebuilds, otherwise you're just throwing them away. So, there has to be a little bit of give and take, but, you do have to have documentation that all 3 packages at some stage are level. This year with the Ram engines with the advantage, I couldn't say I can win this race.
There's a lot of other drivers in the same situation. There's drivers knowing they're coming here to get 3rd place.
We could try to go get a leg up with some other motor, but it's just going to hurt the class in the long run.
They got to get it equal, otherwise by next year we're all going to have to switch to Rams, and that's all there is to it.
We have to get more conclusive numbers for the engine specific, and so that's why we took engines out of trucks, took them to an independent dyno in Indianapolis, and did the test down there.
The engine dyno differs from the chassis dyno in that it measures the power from the engine directly without going through the transmission and the rest of the drivetrain.
That's where we came up with some numbers that showed that we're close, we're extremely close when it comes to the parameters, but we want to just tighten them up a little bit.
They obviously know now for a fact that the Ram engines have more power than any other engine out here. So I mean, for us to go and keep racing against things that are not equally in a spec deal, it makes no sense.
I am a Mopar guy, and I'm very happy to be on the team. but I also want competition. You can't, if you go out there and just completely obliterate everyone and have no one else to race against, then what fun is it?
If I know for a fact that I can't win races and win a championship, there's no reason for me to be here.
When they feel they're on the short end of it, they don't care about data. They just want changes made. They don't care if it's the right call, they just want a call. And we're gonna make some changes for the fall Crandon event that hopefully will prove to be, something that just makes the field more tight than it is now.
After the dyno tests in Indianapolis, USAC decided to make changes to the Mopar engine.
The new formula that's coming in, we are going to have them change an exhaust, rocker arm, and push rod for this event.
What they just told me was they're going to change the carb spacer and they're going to change the rocker arm ratio. Unfortunately, the Rams are going to get another freebie tonight because the engine guy couldn't make the changes on all the trucks in time. So it's just chalk one more up for the Rams, and everybody else, is racing for a podium, hopefully, at best.
I got phone calls, last week before the race stating that there's going to be changes made before the first race. Now we're here. Sounds like they're not changing anything for Friday's race, and we'll see what happens for Saturday, but, all in all, I don't really know anymore.
We can't make knee-jerk reactions that are going to cost people a lot of money. When we do make decisions, we need to be comfortable that they are the right decisions. And now that we've accumulated the data from the chassis dyno and the engine dyno, we feel that we've got data right now that supports the moves that we've made and the changes that we're making this weekend.
Whether those changes are going to create parity or not, that's yet to be seen.
The first day of racing for the Traxxas TORC Series presented by AMSOIL was a makeup race for one that was canceled at Crandon's spring event.
Right now we're at Fall Crandon. We're a little over halfway through the season. Third place in points, basically coming here to win.
Three-time X Games gold medal winner, freestyle motocross pioneer, and founding member of the Metal Militia, Brian Deegan is always looking for a new challenge, and that's what brought him to Crandon for a weekend of racing in the Traxxas TORC Series presented by AMSOIL.
Yeah, I raced against Deegan in 2010 in the X Games Super Rally, and this is the second time I'm going up against him.
Coming to Crandon, this has always been known as the best off-road track. I really wanted to come out here to become a better driver. And that's what it's all about for me. Luckily through Traxxas, they hooked me up with the Pro Light truck, and I've never driven a V8 before.
Deegan's running my truck from last year, the same truck I ran all last year, which is a very fast track. It still holds the track record here.
It's good knowing you're starting off with that. Equipment is so important in auto racing. You just have to have good equipment and just hopefully prep good and ready to go, because I'm kind of just showed up with my suit and helmet.
He's a smart guy coming out here and running our spare truck, and we shared our data with him, so he got to gain a lot of knowledge from me in the end.
I'm gonna have to adapt to it because, it doesn't have a clutch. You're not gonna be shifting the thing like a 4-cylinder.
It's a good truck, and I would still love to have that truck sometimes. I mean, the motor in that truck, the Ford motor, is pretty good here.
The truck's good, so I at least know that part's covered.
Full field of Pro Light trucks staged on the line here at Crandon International Off-Road Raceway. Woo!
Get it done!
Largest field of the season, and we are underway.
There's two big straighters on this track, and on a track like this, power is a huge thing.
Multiple trucks heading to turn one where they're basically 3 wide. And look at the contact heading into turn one.
At the start, I don't actually know. I got a bad jump or something, but I literally was dead last. I don't know. It was weird, dude.
2 to 3 right now. Fast in that section.
I know Sam had a little bit of trouble there with the tires.
The Traxxas Ram of Andrew Cadell has the early lead as they go through turn number 2. Looks like Hubinet having some issue over the jump.
Just blew the turbine. Yep, he must have broke.
So huge trouble for the Ram of Hubinet.
The last lap I kind of took it a little easy. I felt like something was broken. And we'll have to take it back to the pit and see what was broken on it.
Our leader is still Andrew Cadell, picking up basically where he left off last year.
Yeah, boys! Woo-hoo!
Another win for that young driver out of Washington State.
Yeah!
Bubble comes across the line in second in the AMSOIL Nissan, and the battle for third coming to the line. Casey Curry holds on for third after an absolutely awful start to the race.
Andrew Cadell took the first checkered flag of the weekend.
That's a testament to what this team gives me. They give me the best truck out here. Everyone's saying we got the best motor out here, but I think we have to prove we have the best truck because Lovell was fast out there.
Back it up in Crandon here with another second place race. Felt awesome.
I feel good, The truck was, she was getting soft at the end, but, Dude, I can't thank this Monster Energy General Tire truck.
I hope we can sweep the weekend. It's going to be tough. You know, there's a lot of good guys out here. I know, you know, Deegan's out here. I know tomorrow and Sunday he's going to be contending for podiums.
As we've done a chassis dyno test, as we've done just regular dyno testing, we've come up with some changes that we want to make just to get everything from the performance of the engines equal, and that comes from horsepower and torque.
They deemed that the Mopar engines are too fast, so USAC decided that we needed to put in a new set of rocker arms.
I am aware that they are changing our rockers to take away some torque out of our engines.
With a spec program, it's an ever-changing process to where we're going to be testing, we're going to be monitoring, and if we see that changes need to be made, we will make those changes on the fly to maintain that parity within the system.
I mean, we're past halfway in the season, and they're just now detuning them, and they got them to the dynos, and they figured there's not even enough we can do this year to make them even.
USAC's last-minute decision to have the rocker arms changed in the Mopars didn't sit well with those using the engine.
The teams that have to make the change, obviously they're not happy about it. They like the package that they have and they don't want to make the change. And they're even pointing at the timing of making the change, which happens to be on race weekend.
With making last-minute adjustments, I don't even know how fair that is to the Mopar teams out there, because it's going to set other things askew in their truck.
To an extent, I agree with the way USAC handled this, but at the same time, I don't think their timing was the best.
We can't get them all done for today. They're getting them all done tonight or tomorrow, for sure.
I think it's kind of a weird deal that they're doing it here at the racetrack. They've known they're going to do this for a while, from what I've heard. I wish they would have done it before we got to the track so we could probably test it out.
We're going to have to test during the race and see how the truck now handles it. Maybe it even causes some problems in the engine.
They have a package right now that we feel that, you know, this change is necessary, so we're going to make this change. If the change proves that that's not enough, then we'll look at making another change down the road, and that change could again happen on a race weekend.
If it grenades the motor because of the rocker arm, I think USAC should take responsibility for that being their call.
If the rule change that they made about the rocker arms, that we have to change them the day we race, and one of them fail, it will be put back on USAC as their responsibility. And you know, and I feel that there's no compensation that they can give us for that. So that's why I feel that's a total unrealistic demand that they're making.
Our job is to make the change when we see a change, and when we have the pieces and the parts, it's got to get done, and so that's what we're going to do.
I'm not an official, I'm a racer, so I wouldn't know how to assess that situation, but you know, if the truck does fail, I'm going to be pissed. I mean, we're starting to get it figured out. I want to win.
The biggest thing I'm worried about, really is the perception in the driver's head that, you know, he's lost something. He don't have as good as equipment as he had before. He don't know how it's going to react.
I mean, I know the motor builder's a good, you know, a smart man, so I know he'll be fine, but just having that in the back of your mind that if something happens on lap 4 in the middle of a race because of something they made at the track, okay, it would kill you in a race.
If they're wrong, it can cost us, our manufacturers, our sponsors, a championship. And it would be based off of a totally uncalculated decision.
The chances are that everything is going to be fine, and you're mostly not even going to feel it inside the truck. It's a change, but it's not enough to be like, oh man, my car's slow.
Waiting till next year to make changes will show that we're not responsive when we see that there might be an issue to address. I think that's part of what a spec series needs to have, is not just, okay, here's a set of rules and we're going to live and die by it this year. You need to evolve. You need to stay on top of it, and, you know, to keep everybody equal and keep everybody excited about the program, I think you need to make the changes as you see necessary, and when you see a problem, you need to fix it immediately or as quickly as you can, and we feel that's what we're doing in this case.
The crews for the Mopar teams worked all night to make the adjustments USAC had asked for.
We've been working all year on torque converter work, a lot of tranny work, getting our gearing right, and now USAC's kind of throwing a big bind in it. Instead of legal motors, got to be tuned down a little bit, so now we have to go back. We're going to see what tomorrow brings for qualifying in the morning, and we'll probably have to make adjustments to gearing and torque converters, but I guess to be legal, we got to do it.
Essentially, we're taking horsepower away from it. About an hour procedure. Not too difficult. Not a whole lot of fun, but not too difficult.
Tonight we're just changing all rocker arms and doing the USAC rules, so it's not a big deal, just a little extra work.
We put in these new rocker arms and then go out there and just keep doing what we're going to do.
I feel that with the right tire combo, transmission combo, and being on point with your lines, I don't think that this engine modification is really going to affect us all that much.
The rocker arms in the Mopar had been adjusted, and the Pro Light drivers prepared for a second day of racing at Crandon International Raceway.
Second race of the weekend for our Pro Light field, and we are underway once again. Cadell starting on the pole. He's got the inside line to turn number 1.
I started second row, which was a bummer, you know, right from the get-go. I came to the start probably in the teens. It was probably one of the worst starts.
As they head into that turn number 1, all guys were talking about Brian Deegan coming out here this weekend. We're going to find out how good he is. But pulling the hose out, here comes Cadell. He'll be out right behind.
I just started plugging, picking away, learning this track, picking different lines.
And Deegan on the charge through the field.
Good corner, Deegan, good corner.
I feel like the way I look at the track's different because everyone was running their same line, and I picked totally different lines, and it worked for me. I was able to make passes at will.
At the Cottage Yellow, Deegan comes flying inside and nails my third spot. And after that, it just got pretty crazy. RJ Anderson got it flat and spun in front of me, so we got stuck in the hairpin there. Had some little off-track excursion going on, came back, and it was just a really rough event.
Coming through the opening timepiece, Sir Cadell still holding off Deegan.
Deegan is coming hard.
I just needed 2 more chuck links at the end. I already knew where I was going to stick it for the lead, but I just ran out of time.
One final time up and over the Traxxas launch zone. The Traxxas Ram of Andrew Cadell on his way to victory here on Saturday in Pro Light.
Another win for Andrew Cadell to be notched up his belt. But how about this? Second place goes to Brian Deegan starting in the back row, and another podium spot this weekend for Brad Lovell.
Andrew Cadell had his second victory in as many races. Brad Lovell was also on the podium for a second time. And Brian Deegan made his presence felt with a second place finish.
Game on tomorrow. I get to start on the front row no matter what you guys say. I'm not going to the second row.
The controversy over the Mopar engine was one of many so far during the 2011 season of the Traxxas TORC series presented by AMSOIL. In response, USAC decided to create a driver review panel.
We are putting the driver review panel in place effective today's race. The only time we'll use that panel is 2 times, meaning USAC can call that panel into play if we question a driving call on the track. The other way it can be called in is if a driver wants to put a protest in on a rough driving call only.
Many in the paddock thought it was a step in the right direction, and an example of why having USAC as the governing body was a positive for the series.
USAC is a nonprofit organization. They've been around for more than 50 years.
They listen to the drivers a lot and asking questions and wants to get feedback on what they're doing.
Jason, one of the guys that runs a lot of this stuff here on the TORC stuff from USAC, he's awesome. He'll talk to you, he listens to you.
I can yell. I have a big mouth. There's entirely too much riding on it, you know? I mean, there's a lot of business, there's a lot of employment, there's a lot of sponsors, there's, teams that really rely on getting treated fairly.
I really think USAC is probably the best thing that's happened to short course off-road racing in the Midwest.
They come from a different background than this off-road stuff. They come from circle track, sprint cars where there's no contact, nothing like that. So coming into this off-road stuff, it's a totally different world to them.
They're trying to learn, and they're taking their time and trying to do it right.
You do have to at least put the time and effort into making sure you're doing everything possible to make the right calls and treat everybody fair.
On the engine thing, a lot of us trusted them to have it right at the beginning of the year, and they didn't. All we can do is hope they'll get it right for next year, and I think they're working that direction.
They're doing a good job. They made a call, and that's what they need to stick by the calls that they make. And I haven't seen them make a bad call yet.
Yeah, I'm super pumped that USAC did the right thing and are stepping in the right direction. Is it the right fix? I have no idea.
I have a lot of confidence in USAC to make the right decisions. They've made a lot of good calls, and I'm sure they've made bad calls. And everyone's getting mad if they make one bad call out here, but it overshadows that they've made 10 good calls.
As a sanctioning body, that's our job. At any race, any day, we have to make calls. Regardless of whether it makes one team happy or whether it makes 20 teams mad, that's the decision that you have to make.
They're doing a good job out here, and people are not giving them the benefit of the doubt, which they need.
And I think they learned a lot this season for sure, and next year there will be a set rule for everybody, and then there should not be any opportunities to complain.
Yeah, I mean, I do wish that some of the controversy and some of the stuff that people are arguing about right now, I wish they would just pull the helmet on and go race. But I see a lot of positive in that too, because the more passionate they're getting about it, that tells me it means something to them. It means something to win our championship, and that's the goal they're all fighting for.
Andrew Cadell had won the second race of the weekend, but it was Brian Deegan, a racer from outside the series, who was on everyone's mind going into the third and final race.
Deegan's gonna be really, really tough today. He was coming on strong there yesterday, so it's gonna be interesting to see what he can do starting up on the front row. He started on the back row both days so far. You finally see what the Ford motor can do out here. You're putting a good driver in the Ford, and it's running up front.
Today I get to start next to the good guy, so it's game on today. There's only one position I'm looking at.
For the last time this weekend, there's the famous cowboy looking at each driver giving one final thumbs up in readiness before we take the green flag, Shane.
Yes, Scott, the largest field of pro-light trucks we've seen this season should be mayhem when they come into turn number 1.
All right, Steve, good luck. Let them know who you are. Give her hell. Go!
Into turn 1, the drag race mayhem chain has started. And how about this? Look at Sean Morris bouncing off of Casey Curry, now bouncing off of Lovell as they head into turn 1, 3, 4 wide.
All kinds of contact. Looks like, fortunately, a clean start by most of the field. As they come down past this capacity crowd for the first time, R.J. Anderson pulls the hole shot.
Unbelievable start, but look who's running second as well. Brian Deegan picking up right where he left off in race number 2.
Great start for Randy Eller. He sits in third early on as they head down for the first time into the Oakley Timepiece gravel pit corner.
R.J. Anderson still maintains the fight, but he's going way outside. R.J. Anderson stuck out there in the muck. Meanwhile, Deegan goes to the inside, Eller and Cadell right behind.
But Deegan got a little bit loose, and Anderson actually comes charging back. Looks like it'll be a drag race for the lead. And Anderson takes it back from Deegan as they come into Calamity Corner.
At one point, they were looking like they were 3-4 wide. Luke Johnson bounced off a Ross Hook coming out of the Calamity Corner.
Scott, we see a few of our drivers getting loose early on in this one. Worth pointing out that rains came down heavily on the track earlier today, and we should see some blue groove develop as the race goes on. You see Deegan again gets crossed up.
Man, they're still 2-3 wide as they cross the start-finish line.
Looks like the right front wheel's flopping, Luke. Looks like a right front tie rod or something, possibly. You got a left rear flat also. Damn it!
You can hear the frustration in the Red Bull team as well as the driver Luke Johnson early on in this race. But up front, it's 17-year-old R.J. Anderson with the lead, and now running in second, Brian Deegan only the third time in that truck.
Deegan really making that front row start pay off. Meanwhile, looks like trouble for the number 7 Traxxas machine of Keegan Kincaid as he went off course.
Clear by 3. Clear by 3. Run it down. You got it, man. Start hooked up. Let's do this.
It sounds like you got Casey Curry spotter telling him to get back on it. We're running in the top 4 right now. And then you can see the dust flying early on in this race.
What's up?
Left tire again! Left tire.
Is that a right rear?
Yes.
It's right rear. Right rear. We got to go in.
Hugh Burnett has to pull in and change a tire. You know he's got to be frustrated with that after getting a good start to this race. Deegan, meanwhile, punches to the inside of Anderson through the gravel pit. And finally, Deegan able to make the move stick. Brian Deegan, your new race leader.
R.J. Anderson running in second. We'll see if that ramp can come right back on him. But keep in mind, Deegan's truck was the championship truck from last year.
Luke, what happened down there? I was just going around the outside, and then Ross Hoke came across the inside and drilled me. So broke your front end? I think so, because after he hit me, I couldn't steer.
Another Ram in trouble. Looks like Luke Johnson, the Red Bull Ram, pulling into the hot pit with some front end damage after some contact.
As Deegan starts to pull away, R.J. Anderson's in second, but now the competition is starting to really group up with Cadell running in third, and here comes Casey Curry in fourth.
Run him out, run him out. Go, 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 go. You're clear. Go, go, go. Best line, best line. There you go. Cadell just looped it. You guys are messing up everywhere. They're going to give this to you. Let's go.
The slick track surface claims another victim. Andrew Cadell got crossed up coming out of the hairpin near the start line. And that's going to let our leaders gap out even more.
Now keep in mind, there will be a competition now which will regroup this field, but talk about domination. of the Metal Militia. Brian Deegan will be the first one to tell you all about it. But I'm so impressed right now with R.J. Anderson, Casey Curry in third. But R.J. Anderson, first time here at Grandin in a pro light, and the kid's 17 years old.
Yeah, Anderson actually came home with a podium finish in the first round of racing all the way back in Redbud in Buchanan, Michigan. Now finds himself competing for his second podium. This could be a turning point in his young career. Young Guns running up in the top 5 here at Crandon International Raceway as our field comes underneath the finish line. It's still Deegan, Anderson, and Casey Curry running in the top 3.
And Shane, look what's jumping out at me. I don't know about you, but right now we're talking about manufacturer's parity.
Got a run out of it, take advantage.
Absolutely, Scott. You called it. A Ford running out front, then a Ram, and then a Nissan in third.
Everything we were talking about all weekend long, all the guys complaining about how much power these Mopars were making, and now they find themselves either like up in the front, right around say, the top 3, or even further on back. So right now, Casey Curry up on 2 wheels. Will he lose a spot? No, he hangs on to a spot. But man, he's having problems getting his way around this track right now.
That corner's wreaking all kinds of havoc on some of these drivers. You see Cadell in the mix there trying to get back around Curry. It was a mistake by Cadell in the same corner that allowed Curry to get around him.
Nobody behind you, nobody behind you.
So it looks like right now we've got Samuel Huvenette back on the track, but he's definitely off the pace of what our leaders are running right now. And look at Casey Curry now starting to pull away from Cadell.
Curry charging hard. Anderson goes a little bit wide. Actually, Curry got sucked up into the loose stuff on the top of the turn as well.
Spread him out. You got him, you're clear.
Casey Curry comes right back to the inside, easily pulls in front of Cadell.
Yeah, I called that one wrong. It looked to me like Curry went way too high and was going to lose some ground. It actually allowed him to make the move.
As they cross the start-finish line one more time, Casey Curry trying to make up ground on the 17-year-old. I keep bringing up 17, but it's R.J. Anderson right in front.
All the way, all the way. Go, 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 go.
Curry able to make the move stick over Andrew Cadell, although Cadell now pulls back side by side, but it's not going to happen there either. Curry in control of that spot.
We got very strange track conditions right now because it looks like it's dry, almost blue group in the middle, but very, very heavy, thick, sticky mud on the outside.
Yeah, Scott, you don't really like to say it, but it's almost one-line racing, and if you take a chance and go off the race line, it could pay dividends or it could cost you more than one spot.
And it's helping one driver in particular, and this is his first time ever in a pro light, and that is Brian Deegan.
R.J. Anderson still all alone in second place. The best battle on the race course right now, though, is behind him between Curry and Cadell.
And now you can get a very good look at Brian Deegan and the dominance, the huge gap between first and second.
And Scott, yesterday, worth pointing out, Deegan had to start on the back row, and he actually finished on the podium. You got to think that he's in love with this front row start here at Crandon.
Well, not only that, but he's running on a clean track. There's nobody around him, nobody in front of him. He's going on the exact line that he wants to everywhere on the track. You see R.J. Anderson now coming into it. Casey Curry, Andrew Cadell, both look like they're catching our second place driver.
1 through 4 holding tight pretty well as this race wears on. Curry still on the charge, trying to make up some ground on Anderson as they come underneath the finish line.
And I got to reiterate one more time, the parity of manufacturers going on right now. Ford up front, we've got a Ram in second, we've got a Nissan in third, and fourth, once again, another Ram. So you know what? Talk about cheating all you want, but it ain't happening.
That's fine, go, 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 go. One on your left, still there, still there.
After changing the tire, Hugh Burnett battling, trying to get back up through the field. See him losing a body panel. He's having all kinds of issues. Contact with another truck, and Hugh Burnett goes around.
Clear around, clear all around.
This is definitely not one of Samuel Huvenette's better days on the track as he's limping around the track. Earlier problems, and now finds himself way, way back on the field.
Taking a look near the front once again, it's still Anderson running second. Curry is third, feeling all kinds of pressure from Andrew Cadell.
As our top 4 or 5 trucks are heading into turn 1, the high-speed area of Crandon, here's Deegan, absolutely dominating the field once again. R.J. Anderson running in second, but the big battle's going on for third between Casey Curry and Andrew Cadell.
Yeah, the Monster Energy Nissan of Curry absolutely has his hands full right now with the Traxxas Ram of Cadell as they head toward turn number 2, almost bumper to bumper.
You can see how the track early on in the first half is already going away. These trucks are bouncing through the ruts, especially in the turns. We're talking about almost knee-deep ruts, and these trucks are just bouncing all over, trying to handle their way through the turns.
And it all comes back to the rain that we got earlier on in the day. It soaked into the top layer of the track, and after that slime got pushed off the top layer, it's all rough stuff underneath.
And look at the dust as they run down through the center portion of the track. Also blue grooving into that final turn right here, right before the start-finish line, as Deegan crosses the line, and there's the competition yellow. This is where Deegan's advantage he had. Did he save enough for the truck for the second half? Time will tell.
Great run in the first half for R.J. Anderson. He's running second at the caution. Curry held on for third. Cadell will be fourth.
Forrest hit the out of me on the start. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. He just, rammed me, and it totally upset the whole truck. I gotta get my bumper line on. Hold on. He hit me so hard, my bumper line came off on my helmet. Because of that giant head of yours and all that inertia.
R.J. Anderson and his Mopar engine had gotten the whole shot, but it was Brian Deegan in a Ford who led at the competition yellow.
Back for the second half of Pro Light here at Crandon International Off-Road Raceway, the third and final Pro Light race of the weekend. Pace truck is off, and we are back to green flag racing.
Brian Deegan with a nice run off the green flag, running in second is R.J. Anderson, but how about running in third, Casey Curry? That kid right here would love the top spot and basically stick it to every Ram team out there.
He's got a tall order ahead of him though, Scott. Hey, Anderson's having a heck of a run in second. Here comes Curry looking outside as they come into the gravel pit.
Oh man, Casey Curry goes way to the outside, nearly off the track, hung up in that big mud, and he'll lose now multiple spots.
Go, 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 Dick.
Trouble now for some other drivers. Looks like Lovell got crossed up, Morris crossed up as well, and Deegan Kincaid goes around collecting some of the field.
Todd Cunningham's in the mix. We have got an off-road parking lot down in the Oakley timepiece turn.
I got a flat tire, flat tire. Yeah, we got a flat tire. I'll find out where it's at. Right rear, right rear. Right rear. Get the tire ready, guys.
Trouble for Casey Curry as he suffered a flat tire after going way off course. Looks like even more trouble for the 77 Ram team of Hubinet as well.
Drive shaft for open something.
Tough break off the restart, man. What turned out to be could have been such an exciting moment. Now half the field's got problems. As we take a look back to the front now, we still have Brian Deegan. It looks like R.J. Anderson over-rotates. He'll spin out, and he'll lose one, maybe two spots. And this thing, the second half is turning into a mess out there right now.
Scott, we saw it for a moment. Curry went off the course. He was headed for the hot pit. Now a great side-by-side battle between Anderson and Greaves.
Just like his dad, CJ, trying to play that second half game as they come up through turn one. Just like his dad, the race may be coming back. But wait, we've got action on the track. Somebody spun out and up and off the track, and it's CJ Greaves.
I got a flat. I think I got two flats.
Right rear is down. Right rear is down.
So is the front.
Trouble for CJ. Looks like he got mixed up with Eric Ruppel.
All right, don't worry about it. Just take it back to the pit.
Casey Curry finally coming out of the pits. Looks like he may be able to make it out on the lead lap, but look out front. It's all Brian Deegan and that Rockstar Metal Militia Ford dominating the field in the second half, much like the first.
Cadell still giving chase in second, not too far back, but at this point, I don't know if anybody has anything for Deegan.
That's already pulled off the track, Casey. As soon as you go around one more corner, you'll be ahead of him.
Ray Curry, that's the dad of Casey Curry. Right now, they're playing the points game. They're far behind the leader. They may be on the lead lap. I'm not quite sure yet. But right now, they're out there just playing the points game.
Yeah, and they're already gaining valuable points over Sam Hubinet, who's actually parked it for the day.
Shane, here's an issue to bring up right now. Andrew Cadell is chasing down his record-breaking truck from last year. That's his old truck that he's chasing down. What's got to be going through that kid's mind right now?
If I was Andrew Cadell, I'd probably be wondering why I'm still not driving the truck that's actually out in front of the race. Deegan might be driving a little bit more conservatively, which isn't his usual style, but at this point I think he knows if he can save the truck, he will finish first.
Right now the field looks like it's starting to separate a little bit as we take a peek at R.J. Anderson, and there's Brad Lovell as well. Brad Lovell having a very good weekend in that Nissan.
Trying to make it his third podium in as many rounds of racing here at Crandon International Off-Road Raceway.
Andrew Cadell down that long back section in that tight left-hand 180. This is a spot, this is a corner where everybody has had problems from time to another. And it does look like Andrew Cadell may be reeling in our leader.
Well, Scott, if he is reeling in Deegan, he's got to step on it and do it a little bit more quickly. Time is running out.
Beats it by about 0.2 of a second every lap.
Man, I'll take it back. Right now we heard from K2 that actually Deegan is pulling away from Cadell 0.2 of a second every single lap. So Deegan has really got that truck set up for the second half of this race.
And this late in the race, Scott, you got to feel like Cadell, knowing that he's actually losing time to Deegan, has to feel a little bit behind the 8 ball.
No pressure, no pressure.
keep in mind that the guys right now are definitely be playing that points game. You know, this late in the race, it's not so much about the win, but more about survival.
Yeah, and of course, Deegan hasn't run the whole Traxxas Off-Road Championship Series this year, so he's not really doing anything to shake up the points by finishing ahead of everybody else. But Cadell is gaining a ton of ground in the points chase by finishing in second.
As the white flag is waving one more time around here at Crandon.
White flag lap. White flag lap. Just get this thing around. If he gives it to us, good. If you don't, Casey and Sam have both had bad days. They're both done.
Right there, you can hear from K2 spotting for Andrew Cadell. He's playing that points game. He's letting him know where they are in points. Just finish this race. Don't worry about Brian Deegan. Don't take crazy chances. Just finish the race.
And on the other hand, Deegan, a guy known for taking those crazy chances, finds himself all alone out front. Half a lap to go now, and that Rockstar Metal Militia Ford will be on top of the podium.
He's done it at the X Games, he's done it in freestyle, he's done it in motocross, and now he's going to do it in off-road right here at Crandon.
No pressure whatsoever, none.
Once again through turn number 1, down past the capacity crowd here at the big house. Deegan with a stranglehold on the lead. He's out front in control over the rest of the field. Cadell still giving chase in second, but time is running out.
You can absolutely see the blue groove of the track right now. They are running on virtual ice. Andrew Cadell, I can tell you right now, he's a competitor. He's not giving an inch. But you know what? Like you said, time is running out. 2 turns remaining.
Final time into the Oakley gravel pit turn. Smooth sailing. And as I alluded to earlier, it looks like Deegan actually driving pretty conservatively now, up and over the Traxxas launch zone for the final time and into Calamity Corner.
They call it that for one reason, but it's going to be the last turn before the checker flag across the AMSOIL finish line. The win will go to Brian Deegan, second Andrew Cadell.
3 turns in a row in a weekend, that's pretty good, buddy.
Right on, guys, right on! What a freaking race, Chief!
And to cap off a great weekend for Brad Lovell, his 3rd podium finish in as many rounds of racing. Anderson across the line 4th, and it looks like Randy Eller with a strong finish in the top 5.
The story of the day, though, Shane, has to be the valuable points gained by Andrew Cadell, with Sammy Hubenak dropping out of the race and Casey Curry finishing well back in the pack.
Dude, I don't know how I got that flat, but dude, if I didn't get that flat, I had to drive to get those guys.
Cadell was right in your side.
Brian Deegan won in a truck provided by Traxxas and Jenkins Brothers Racing. That truck had a Ford engine, not a Mopar. Andrew Cadell, also part of the Traxxas team, finished second.
I'm feeling great with this weekend. You know, coming out with a 2 firsts and a second. There's no shame in losing to Brian Deegan out there. You know, he's a darn good driver.
I just love driving. That's why I came out to Crandon, just to make my skills better and hang out with all the cool fans here at Crandon, and this is where it all started.
Right on, brother. Yeah. Yeah, man.
3 was a good number for Brad Lovell. It was his place of finish for Sunday's race, and the amount of podium finishes he had during the weekend. The Traxxas team had the top 2 spots on the podium. Brian Deegan's victory in a Ford seemed to dispel the idea that the Mopar engine gave drivers an unfair advantage.
That truck, man!
Perhaps the results of the race came down to the teams themselves and the time and money spent on testing, parts, and research.
You know what? I really am stoked that Traxxas invited me out here and let me race, hooked me up with Cadell's old truck, and it's a good truck, so it was up to me to go out there and perform, and today is exactly how I had it in my head it was going to happen, so I just had to stick to it. Weather held out.
Brian Deegan, man, he shows up and jumps in a truck he's never driven before and just hammers that thing right to the front, so it was pretty impressive.
I'm on a roll, dude. I love driving, that's why I'm here, so what's up?
He's one of them crossover guys that did it right and put his effort into it and, you know, paid his dues, and now it's paying off. So he's the real deal. There's no smoke and mirrors there.
Yeah! I was just informing the TORC official that, hey, it just proved right there that the Mopar motor does not have an advantage. Our last year's Ford with Brian Deegan in it just set fast lap and track record here in that Ford that we set it with last year. The bullshit needs to stop right now. Casey Curry, all the crying needs to end right now. He's just getting his ass beat, and he's getting his ass beat because we're better than him. Not because we're cheating, not because we got more power, no other reason. We're just better than him.
People are now cheaters in my eyes for the rest of their lives.
There's always people trying to knock you off your game.
Next year, am I going to have to go buy their engines to be the same? I don't know. We'll have to see what they do.
I don't know about the drama. I'm just staying away from it.
I just enjoy life, try to make the best of it, and I try to win at everything I do. That's the bottom line.
I think they know that we're going to get this program to a position to where all they got to worry about is driving these things.
I love it. This is the funnest thing I've ever done, so I'm here to stay. I will always be an off-road racer.